Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Las Vegas. It is wonderful to be together both virtually and in person. My name is Margaret. I am your worship associate today, and I use they, them pronouns. Our worship leader is Donna, who uses she, her pronouns. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever you believe about life's journey, you are welcome here. We broadcast a video feed for our virtual attendees. If you wish not to be recorded, please sit toward the back or sides of the sanctuary. Today, during Of Our Hearts, we will read the name of anyone written in the book in the back or in the chat after we go through our fire ritual. When we come together, we get to practice creating inclusive, worshipful spaces together. Please move in ways your body needs. It's okay if you need to wiggle, stand up, sleep, or fidget. All bodies are welcome here. Welcome to our service. Before we ring the bell, let's take a moment to greet all present who make this space sacred.
The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Las Vegas is situated on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi Southern Paiute people. We are grateful for the land itself, for those who have stewarded it for generations, and for the opportunity to worship, learn, work, grow, and be in community with this land and her peoples. We encourage everyone present here to engage in the continued learning about the indigenous peoples who work and live on this land since time immemorial, including the Las Vegas Paiute tribe and the Moapa Band of Paiutes, and about the historical and present realities of colonialism. It is important to recognize and appreciate the use of Southern Paiute land as part of our mission to be a welcoming and inclusive place for worship, spiritual enrichment, and exploration within the community.
At the time when the day is shortest and the sun shows herself only briefly above the horizon, we light this flame of hope to represent the solstice fire on the hilltop that ancient people lit to remind the sun to return. We honor the cycle of the seasons as their tides are echoed in our lives. And now, as we light our chalice, please join with me. We light the chalice as a reminder that together we are a beacon in the desert. May its light lead the way to love, acceptance, and justice as we strive for personal and societal transformation. This morning marks the third Sunday of our Wreath of Light, our take on the Christian Advent wreath. There are many traditions that celebrate the light this time of year with candles. Hanukkah, solstice, Kwanzaa, all involve candles, fire, and lights as part of their celebrations. Each week until Christmas, we light a new candle on the Wreath of Light. The circle of greenery reminds us of the eternal cycle of life without beginning or end. And the candles remind us that we are each called to emit our glow amid the pain and suffering of our world. We invite light to grow brighter and brighter, guiding us toward personal peace, shared joy, and more love. The first candle we light is for hope. The second candle is lit to symbolize our longing for peace. The third candle we light is for joy. And now Max will be speaking to us about what joy means to him.
Hi, y'all. I don't do a lot of public speaking, so please bear with me. And as some people may tell you, I don't do great at riffing speeches, so I've got a script here, and I'm gonna stick to it pretty strictly. But so what I have here is when I was asked to speak on the subject of joy, I wasn't sure exactly what I would say. Even up to the night before, I had gone over multiple ideas in my head, unable to settle on something that felt thoughtful or meaningful. Sure, joy is a feeling of happiness and satisfaction, but what does that really mean? If you were to describe to someone what joy is, how would you do that? I'm faced now with that exact issue, and I've come to the conclusion, as someone who likes to learn by example, that the best way for me to describe joy is to illustrate it through the experiences in my own life. As such, I have done my best attempt at prose in order to call upon your empathetic sentences. If you are willing, please close your eyes and transpose yourself into my position as best you can. Joy may be large or small. It takes on many shapes, both those that are simple and those profound. Joy is enjoying your favorite sweet while watching a comfort show, and it is overcoming obstacles that you once believed impossible. Joy is jamming out in traffic to an upbeat pop song, and it's watching your dog leap around because they missed you so much, even though you were only gone for an hour. Joy is the refreshing taste of a cool drink, and it's the feeling of the stress of the workday washing off you when your daughter races through the door to give you a hug when you arrive home. Joy is the cool touch of your pillow against your face as you slip into bed, and it's the gentle warmth of the morning sun paired with the bracing bitterness of a fresh mug of hot coffee. Joy surrounds us at every turn. It isn't always loud and it isn't always strong, but if you take time to enjoy life experiences, you will find joy in abundance. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. That was awesome. Good morning. I'd like to begin with a quote from Frederick Lenz. Winter solstice is the time of ending and beginning, a powerful time, a time to contemplate your immortality, a time to forgive, to be forgiven, and to make a fresh start. It is a time to awaken. And now, please.
Morning. Morning. So, the winter solstice approaches. And far in the north, right, way up near the Arctic Circle, where this story comes from, at this time of year, it is dark pretty much all the time. And so I wanted to share with you a story about the animals and the solstice and the sun. So one winter, long ago, it was cold. It was so cold. It was the coldest it has ever been. And the animals, who are normally hibernating in their little holes, were so cold that they could not stay beneath the earth. The ground had frozen over, and there was not a glimpse of the sun in the sky. And so the animals came out of their hibernation, and they huddled all together, freezing and trying to stay warm. Now, in this huddle, in the cold, cold winter, there were little animals near the edges, and they were afraid that they would not make it until the next morning because they were too cold. And so one of them wiggled its way in, shoved out the bigger animals, and made their way into the center. And it was the little fox. And the fox turned to the big bear who was providing all the warmth in the center and said, "Bear, bear, the little animals near the edges, we will not make it until the next morning. We are too cold. We must go find the sun. Someone must bring back the sun to us." And the bear said, "Yes, this is a wise idea. We must have someone bring the sun back to us, but who will it be? It needs to be someone who is able to run long distances, to go find the sun who is so far south in the southern isle." And the fox said, "Yes, and it needs to be someone who is quick and able to move and not big and lumbering like the bear." And so they looked around and they said, "Who could go? Who could go?" And there was silence. And finally, coming through the clearing, came a beautiful creature, all covered in white, with a big black nose and two big sets of antlers. And she said, "I will go." And they said, "Oh, reindeer, yes, you can run and you are able to go long distances." And they said, "Yes, you will come and bring the sun to us. But how? How will you carry the sun back to us?" And the deer said, "My beautiful antlers, I can reach and carry the sun and bring it back to all of us." And they said, "Oh, so wise." And the bear looked at the reindeer and said, "Yes, yes, brother reindeer, please go get the sun for us." And the reindeer looked at him and said, "You do not know about reindeer, do you? For in the winter, all the male reindeer lose their antlers. So it is I, mother deer, who will go get the sun." And with that, she sauntered off through the clearing and into the tree. And she walked on and on and on through the cold and the wet and the snow and the frozen tundra, until finally she came to a woods, and she walked into the woods, and she was really starting to wonder if she was going to make it all the way down to the sun. And there in the woods, she spied a man. And this man was cloaked in the beautiful green of all the trees of the forest. And he had a beard that was white and wide and gray and looked like a snowstorm. And he had hair that was matted and white and covered his face. And he carried with him a big sack. And the deer came up to him, and she said, "I am not sure how much farther I need to go." And he bowed down and he said, "Ah, mother deer, I know who you are. I know where you are headed. I will give you something to take you on your way." And he reached into his sack and he pulled out a mushroom. And this mushroom was white with a beautiful red cap covered in little white speckles. And he gave it to Mother Deer. And Mother Deer said, thank you for this gift." And she happily ate it. And then she began to run. And she found her energy, and she ran, and she ran, and she began to fly. And she took off over the forest, and she found the sun there in the distance. And she made it to the sun, and she said, "Sun, sun, mother sun, please, will you come back to us? Please, we are so cold. We are not going to make it. All the poor little animals, they will not survive." And the sun said, "I have spent all year warming the land, and I am so tired and so weak, I'm not sure that I can make it back." And Mother Deer said, "I can carry you in my antlers if you will accept." And so the sun said, "Yes, I will take that. Please carry me home. And so she climbed into the antlers of Mother Deer, and together they flew back over the forests and through the tundra until they reached where the animals were. And there Mother Deer placed the sun back into the sky to warm the land.
Thank you, Rory. We will now ground ourselves in the present and honor the thread of humanity that connects us as living beings. If you have someone you would like held up, please add their name to the chat. As humans striving toward a beloved community, we have the privilege and responsibility to hold on to each other as we live the joys and sorrows of life. We take this sacred time to acknowledge the people who we hold in our hearts, that in sharing our triumph and joy may be multiplied, and our pain and sorrow may lessen their sting. After a brief reading, we will partake in a common UU ritual of marking our joys and sorrows by lighting a candle. The candle signifies a lightness or burden on your heart. The fire represents the love and strength of our community to surround, support, and celebrate you. Additionally, at this time of the winter solstice, the candles represent our prayer to the Winter Mother to return the light to the land. There is also a small bowl of lightly scented eucalyptus oil if you would like to anoint yourself to seal this practice. And now for the reading, and then we will do the candles. The world outside is cold and gray, summer a distant memory. Our world, too, has known its winters. So each year, we begin our celebration in darkness, as our world began in darkness. Long before the city raised its towers to the sky, people sought shelter in the caves and caverns. In those days, they were dark places, and those who dwelt there dwelt in fear and isolation. At last, a few people learned to put aside their fear, and they began to trust each other, to help each other. Each of us grew stronger.
Those who gave the help and those who received it.
We are all part of one another, one family, one community. Sometimes we forget this, so we come together on the winter solstice to give thanks to those who have helped us and to remember. Even the greatest darkness is nothing, so long as we share the light. And now, if you would like to come forward and light a candle, everyone is welcome. Thank you. Today we hold up Dan Tossig, Ann Sustick, Dee Widener, Marianne Kaiser, Nancy, Nick, Grandma Betty, and Jamie. Irma, is there anyone in the chat?
Yes. We have Estella, Kristen, Desi, Luca, Addison.
May we hold all that was spoken and all that is kept in silence of our hearts in love and compassion. Now, I would like to have everyone welcome a special guest, my friend, Teapot, who will be sharing a song of her own creation for our pastoral hymn.
Frozen waters decay on the ground, under the moonlight where wisdom is found. A call to draw inward at this time of year. You can feel her presence as the darkness draws near. 'Cause on cold winter days, look out the window. The earth, she is still as the cold wind she blows. Bare bones and branches all covered in snow. It is here that you'll find the face of the crone. Within the reflection is where we unborn. One that's born dies, and what dies is reborn. Do not fear darkness, and do not fear death. The mysteries of existence never comes to an end. 'Cause on cold winter days, look out the window. The earth, she is still as the cold wind she blows. Bare bones and branches all covered in snow. It is here that you'll find the face of the crone. She slips away in the warmth of the lights, turning to water, creating new life. Back into darkness her spirit must go, where she is reborn in the flowers that grow. 'Cause on cold winter days, look out the window. The earth she is still as the cold wind she blows. Bare bones and branches all covered in snow. It is here that you'll find the face of the crow. 'Cause on cold winter days, look out the window. The earth she is still as the cold wind she blows. Bare bones and branches all covered in snow. It is here that you'll find the face of the crow.
For our reading today, this is the charge of the Winter Mother. Listen to the words of the Winter Mother. I am the light that bursts through the darkness and the smile on the young child's face. I am the warmth that melts the winter chill and the sparks that dance from the fireplace. I am the smell of oranges and apples and the scent of cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. I am the sparkling lights on the Yule tree and the star on the top that glows. I am the newborn baby, the murmuring mother, and the wise old crone. I am found in the twinkling of an aged eye and in the laughter of children everywhere. Yes, joy and love and warmth am I. Where kindness abounds, I too am there. I am your sister, your mother, the wise one, and I warm you gently in the light of my love. I lighten your worries, bring good health and speed growth by shedding my rays down on you from above. But remember, my children, be grateful for my crone self, the darkness and the winter's deep chill, for without them there would be little reason for this holiday season of peace and goodwill. We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. The offering supports the mission of the congregation to be a beacon of love and justice in the desert, and supports local organizations working to make our community a better place for all. The offering this month is shared with Foster Kinship. Foster Kinship believes children who can't be with their parents should be with their family. Its mission is to strengthen kinship caregivers' capacity to provide safe, stable, and nurturing homes for children. This year, UUCLV will be helping many families by getting gifts for children in foster care, staying with their families. We do this in honor of Kathy Espin, who started this tradition here at UUCLV a number of years ago. She was a member who passed away in 2020. This offering is a spiritual practice of generosity that this congregation does as a whole each week. Please join us as a member or friend in this practice. The link to donate your offering will be in the chat on Zoom, and our ushers will pass plates where you can donate. So now please join with me in saying, with gratitude for the abundance in our own lives, we give for the life of this congregation and the benefit of the larger community.
Thank you all for your gifts of treasure. And now, if the children would like to come up for gift box time. Yeah, we have a... Where'd it go? What do you guys think it is? Maybe. You want to try?
No.
Well, who wants to open it?
Me.
Why don't you both take the lid off? What's inside?
They're mushrooms. Painted mushrooms.
Yeah. Did we hear about mushrooms today in the story? What do you remember?
That the reindeer
Would you like a mushroom?
that the reindeer ate the mushroom. The reindeer ate the mushroom that the old man gave her,
Right.
and it made her go really fast.
Right. And so what did she bring back? Do you remember, Leo?
The sun.
Exactly. And we need the sun to help stay warm, right? Did you find anything exciting about the story?
No.
So, you guys get to keep these mushrooms. Everybody gets one, okay? Thank you. And do you think that Santa Claus's reindeer maybe eats these special mushrooms?
Yeah.
You think that's how they fly through the sky every year at Christmas Eve? No. I think so too. So did you guys like the story? All right. Well, thanks, guys. And good morning again. Did you know that Santa has apparently been a quietly progressive employer, so to speak, of the female spirit ever since his inception with The Night Before Christmas? I'm sure you must be wondering what I'm talking about. The beloved image of Saint Nick soaring through the skies in his sleigh drawn by 8 flying reindeer has a secret. Reindeer are the only members of the deer family whose females have antlers and are stronger and larger than the males. Male reindeer shed their antlers in the winter, leaving it to the deer mother to fly through the long dark night of winter solstice. The reindeer was a sacred animal to our ancient ancestors of northern Europe. The doe was seen as the giver of life and light. Her antlers were associated with the tree of life and often depicted carrying the sun, the giver of life. Long before Santa charioted his flying steeds across our mythical skies, it was the female reindeer who drew the sleigh of the sun goddess at winter solstice. After we Christianized the pagan traditions of winter, the white-bearded man, Father Christmas, was born. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of Santa. He is the epitome of selflessness, always giving to others with expectation of nothing in return. I was raised by a single mom who, despite the challenges of living life below the poverty line, managed to make our holidays magical. She instilled in me a love of the holidays, especially the joy of giving. My father literally became Santa Claus the last 10 years of his life, complete with the long beard, long white hair, and of course that classic red velvet robe. He told me once it was both a very joyful experience and a deeply sad one. He said he could often sense the children who came to him that had very little. And while he loved seeing the spark of happiness in their eyes as they whispered their secrets to him, it made him sad to know that he could not personally ensure that each wish was fulfilled. So as I fell down the proverbial rabbit hole exploring the meaning of the winter solstice and how it connects to the traditions of my childhood, I found a rich tapestry of legends, music, and folklore, all intertwined and connected. I was seeking the farthest reaching tendrils of these stories and following them back to the core beliefs of the people who in many cases still celebrate and practice those today. It was enlightening, and it answered some of those classic questions asked of Santa. Why do you come on Christmas Eve? So let's consider that. If we think about the story, Santa delivers gifts all around the world, all in one night. Even with magic reindeer, that's a huge task. Christmas Eve is very close to the winter solstice, and it's the longest night of the year. Long before Christmas, our Northern European ancestors celebrated the winter solstice, the moment that heralds the return of the sun, and with it the promise of new life in the spring. Without the comforts offered by modern technology, this time of year must have raised fears in the hearts of our ancestors. Fear that the sun would not return to its summer glory. Fear that there would not be enough food to eat for the winter. Fears that echo even more in the dark. A celebration of life would have been most welcome and needed. The longest night was often called Mother Night, as it was during this time that the goddess worked her magic nurturing the seeds lying dormant in the dark womb of the earth, so that new life could emerge in the spring. It is a time to celebrate the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Many of the elements associated with Christmas have their origins in our goddess-worshiping past. Evergreen trees, holly, mistletoe, the wreath, lighting candles, and yes, even our favorite Santa Claus and his reindeer, who both have their origins in Northern European sun goddesses. One example of this story is Sol, the Lithuanian and Latvian goddess of light and sun. She took to the skies of the winter solstice in a sleigh pulled by reindeer. She journeyed with the aid of her smith, who forged a golden cup, which would catch her tears and then transform them into amber. And during her flight through the heavens, she threw the pebbles of amber like bits of sun down to the humans below. Sol was a spinning goddess who used her skill to spin the rays of the sunlight onto the world. Okay, so why do reindeer fly? We kind of know that now. Ever since the early Neolithic, when the earth was much colder and reindeer more widespread, the female reindeer was venerated by the northern people. She was the life-giving mother. She led the herds, they depended on her for survival, and they followed the reindeer migrations for milk, food, clothing, and shelter. The reindeer was often shown in art, leaping or flying with neck outstretched and legs flung fore and aft. Her antlers were frequently depicted as the tree of life, carrying birds and the sun, moon, and stars. And across the northern world, it was the dear mother who took flight from the dark of the old year to bring light and life to the new. In these Siberian legends, in which the reindeer took flight each winter, it was after ingesting the hallucinogenic Amanita muscarara mushroom, the archetypical red toadstool with white spots. Shaman would join them on a vision quest by taking the mushrooms themselves. Climbing the tree of life in her horns, they would take flight like a bird into the upper realms. Amanita has been used for thousands of years as medicine in ceremonies and rituals by people of the northern latitudes of the world. This fungus is found deep in the forest beneath conifers, where it forms a symbiotic relationship with pines, firs, and spruces. And then, why the red suit? If I ask you to think about Santa Claus, what do you see in your mind's eye? Most of us conjure up the familiar image of a robust man with a white beard, red fur-trimmed suit, and a jolly expression, right? Well, there's more to the story than a brilliant soft drink ad or a charming poem might imply. Folk tales from the Northlands tell how shaman, dressed in red suits with white spots, would collect mushrooms. You remember those shrooms. And they would deliver them through the chimney as gifts on the winter solstice. Talk about your wild night. While you can find historical explorations explaining how the pagan origins of Christmas observed the link between Santa's garb and the red and white amanita mushroom ingesting shaman, few mention that it was female shaman who originally wore the red and white costumes trimmed with fur, horned headdresses, and red felt hats. The ceremonial clothing worn by medicine women healers of Siberia and Lapland were green and white with a red peaked hat, curled toe boots, reindeer mittens, fur lining, and trim. Sounds familiar? Considering that most shaman in the region were originally women, it is likely that their traditional wear is the true source of Santa's costume. And it is also very likely that they were the first to take that shamanic flight with the reindeer on the darkest winter's night. We can learn from the wisdom of the past, a time when humans understood more clearly our tiny part of the cosmic web of life and the necessity of honoring the earth and all of its life. At this time, when the shadow side of human nature once again seeks dominance through naked self-interest and the promotion of fear and hatred of others, let us remember and honor the ancient belief of the reindeer goddess, the sun goddess, and the mother night, when she both flies high in the sky and dives deep into the earth to nourish and promise a renewal of life in the coming spring. Although these women are largely forgotten today, the dear mother still lives, as she is embodied on our Christmas cards, seasonal decorations, and tales of Santa's flying reindeer. We may not recognize her, but I believe some deep old part of ourselves still remember the original Mother Christmas, who brought light and life to the new world. The Dear Mother legend holds a deep symbolism, reflecting the themes of rebirth, renewal, and hope. As the winter solstice marks the longest night of the year, the appearance of the Dear Mother represents the return of light and the promise of a new beginning. Her presence during this celestial event brings comfort and reassurance to those who witness her, reminding them that life and abundance will return. So this solstice, take a moment to remember the forgotten winter goddesses of old and their magical reindeer. When we gather by the fire to tell the children bedtime stories of Santa and his flying reindeer, why not tell the story of the ancient deer mother? It was she who once flew through winter's longest, darkest night to bring back the life-giving light of the sun. Though it may be dark now, the light will return. Look out from your warm, cozy home into the cold of the darkening eve. And on the sacred night when the sun is reborn, look for the dear mother flying across the starry skies, carrying the tree of life in her horns. The winter solstice and dear mother legend are intertwined in a tapestry of ancient traditions and mythology. Both symbolize the triumph of light over darkness, the hope for renewal, and the celebration of life. The winter solstice serves as a reminder to embrace the changing seasons and find solace in the cyclical nature of existence. As we gather around bonfires, decorate the evergreen trees, and retell stories of the dear mother, let us honor these ancient traditions and cherish the magic of the winter solstice.
Recently, diverse and revolutionary Unitarian Universalist multicultural ministries, also called DRUM, released an open letter to UU colleagues on the war and occupation in Palestine. We quote them here. We call upon Unitarian Universalists to demand an immediate ceasefire without conditions, support for humanitarian aid, an end to the U.S. military support for the State of Israel, and immediate release of the nearly 10,000 Palestinian refugees held in Israel and the 240 Israeli hostages taken on October 7th. It also means broadly committing to an end to the occupation, joining the fight for a free Palestine, and engaging in hard and necessary conversations about the impacts of Zionism. We encourage you to continue listening to stories from those impacted by this crisis, and then reach out to your representatives to make sure your voice is heard. History is repeating itself, and our moral action is one critical action we can take to interrupt the cycle of violence. On this slide, you can see the senators and representatives for Southern Nevada. You can find the voting history, office phone numbers, and official websites of all elected officials at www.govtrack.us. That's www.govtrack.us. Here are some starting points you might find helpful for your communication with your representatives. I echo the consensus of the United Nations that a ceasefire in Palestine and Israel is urgently needed. I urge you to stand with your colleagues calling for a ceasefire. You also might consider the ongoing violence in Palestine and Israel is a humanitarian disaster. A ceasefire, including delivery of critical humanitarian aid and release of prisoners and hostages, must be established. I urge you to call for a ceasefire.
Thank you, Margaret. Our benediction tonight is a poem called Jack Frost and Crystalline by Sean Michael Rice. And in the cold night's deepest hour, they have made a wedding bower, whilst the world sleeps snug in bed, Crystalline and Jack Frost wed. But as the sun regains the skies, summer comes and winter dies. Then Jack will take his winter bride, and to the Northlands they will ride. Where winter's kingdom in command, Crystalline takes Jack Frost's hand. Collecting treasure through the year, hoards they'll find of crystals clear. A polar palace will be home, till south once more they'll roam. You'll wake and see their cold design, Jack Frost and his Crystalline. The darkness almost engulfed us this year, but our unity has given us strength. Our shared life showed us the way. As we part today, let us remember, darkness is only the absence of light, and all winters end. Blessed winter solstice to you all. Go out and share your beautiful light, pushing back the darkness as you go.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join with me in reading. We release that which was called with love and gratitude, and we extinguish the flame, but not our commitment to being a beacon in the desert. This burns brightly until we gather again. We have room for a few announcements to be read at upcoming services. If you want your announcement read, please email Irma by Thursday and she will get it to the worship associate. Please include the name of the event, the date and time, a contact name, and no more than a 30-word description. Today's announcements: join UUCLV members in January, February, and March to read and discuss a book about Southwest Indigenous people, I Am the Grand Canyon. Contact Joanne Leovy for more, or contact Mark today if you would like to order the book in bulk to save on shipping costs. Next week's Christmas Eve service will be at a different time than usual. We will not be meeting in the morning. The Christmas Eve service will start at 5 p.m. instead. Following it will be a celebratory dinner of Chinese food. Finally, please remain seated after the postlude. We will be holding a congregational meeting following the service to discuss and vote on the new budget. In addition to those we have highlighted, there are many more announcements and events this week and in the coming weeks. To see all of them, head over to our web page using the QR code on the screen or visit uuclv.org. In gratitude, we'd like to thank everyone who helped make today possible. The musicians, Maggie and Teapot, our AV team, Keith and Jeff, and our wonderful sermon by Donna, who put it all together. Thank you all for being with us today. Have a blessed week.